Alright, Geordie Prepper here. Welcome to another Prepper News broadcast. Today is Wednesday the 17th of January 2024. The focus on this broadcast is Taiwan and China. First article we're looking at here is asking what China will do now that there's a very pro-West president that's been elected. And the election of Li Ching-te is not welcome news to the Chinese Communist Party apparently. This election was on 13th of January. It was the 8th presidential elections since the self-governed island became a fully fledged liberal democracy in 1996. Defying Beijing's threats, Taiwan voters elected Li Ching-te of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, as the next president. They're saying that the outcome will no doubt impact the global balance of power between the United States and the People's Republic of China. The future peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait hangs in the balance too, as Beijing, which claims the island as an integral territory, refuses to renounce the use of military force to achieve that objective. The fact that Taiwan is moving inexorably away from China, regardless of which party is winning, makes Beijing more anxious about the future of Taiwan. South Korea, however, is anticipating peace and stability across Taiwan. Following the pro-US election, they've expressed hope to see peace and stability maintained and the peaceful development of China-Taiwan relations after Taiwan elected a United States-friendly president. As the pro-American DPP continues to gain power, the conflict between the US and China over the Taiwan issue will likely continue. So nothing's really gonna come of this, anything good from this election of this new president. The relations between China and the United States are still going to be strained. And, you know, it's just a matter of time. China has made it inexorably clear Taiwan is going to be reunified with China. So, I mean, like the US with their threats against the Houthis, at some point China is going to have to deliver on this statement. When that'll be is anyone's guess, I think, really. But it is something that is coming. So experts are reacting to this whole Taiwan election and they're basically asking, well, what's next? And in a year packed with global elections, and that's something we'll touch on later in the episode, Taiwan has scored its first victory for democracy. If you know what a democracy really is, then it's not something really to strive for. They're going over in this article quite a number of different points what might happen, but they're saying here that the Taiwan's people were obviously not intimidated by China's rhetoric. They believe that China's tried to interfere in the outcome of the presidential election openly and in insidious ways. I haven't seen any evidence of that myself, but it's a possibility. You know, external forces conduct all sorts of ways to alter the outcome of elections. And, you know, it happens in the United States, it happens in Britain, it happens everywhere, basically. The outcome of the election shows that the people of Taiwan are not as easily intimidated as Beijing might like, and as many in the United States seem to fear. Quite an interesting number of thoughts and people's opinions in here in this article about what may happen next. China's basically came out though. I find this quite funny, but it just goes to show, you know, like, kind of unhinged everything that's happening in the world is. You know, there's so many people basically saying stuff, and, you know, wars have been fought for less than people's comments against someone else. And they're basically saying that China summoned the ambassador from the Philippines on Tuesday and warned the country not to play with fire after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. congratulated Taiwan's president-elect Li Ching-te on his election victory. So basically, just for other countries acknowledging this presidential win for this candidate and for the party, the DPP, basically China's just sending telegrams out to everybody just saying, look, if you start acknowledging this guy's win, then you're basically playing with fire. And China's been criticising the United States and Britain for congratulating the winner of Taiwan in the election. Blinken has basically said this. He says, "We congratulate Dr. Lee Ching-te on his victory in Taiwan's presidential election. We also congratulate the people of Taiwan for participating in free and fair elections and demonstrating the strength of their democratic system." And then China's foreign ministry comes out and says it's strongly deplored and firmly opposes the comments that were made by Mr. Blinken, and added that serious representations to the US side had been made. "We urge the US to stop interactions of an official nature with Taiwan and stop sending any wrong signal to the separatist forces for, in inverted commas, Taiwan independence," a spokesperson added. So yeah, China's miffed. This whole entire year of 2024 is basically an election for the entire world, practically. If we go down and look in this article, there's basically a map here, interactive map, and it has so much red of where elections are going to be held. I mean, it's practically the entire developed world, really. So you got United States, elections happening there. In Britain, Ireland, they've got elections. Iceland's got elections. France, Spain, Portugal, Russian elections. Belarus, Poland, Czech. It's unbelievable. National elections are scheduled or expected in at least 64 countries, as well as the European Union, which altogether represent almost half the global population. So governments and countries governing over about half the population of the world this year holding elections. And this article here just breaks it all down. So to say that 2024 is going to be an interesting year is a bit of an understatement. This article is contemplating the US-China war over Taiwan and how bad could it get. Taiwan must take ownership of its own defense rather than depend on outside intervention for survival. To succeed, the US Armed Forces must obtain permission from the Japanese government to operate from US bases in Japan, and the US military must bulk up its magazine of air-launched anti-ship ordnance to the maximum extent possible in order to sink a PLA Navy amphibious task force trying to cross the Taiwan Strait. So effectively, they're concerned that they don't have the capability to completely nullify a amphibious force that would cross the Taiwan Strait. There would simply be too many ships and not enough anti-ship missiles to take them all out. The report details the design and results of an unclassified war game set in the Taiwan Strait in 2026, toward the end of the much-discussed Davidson window, which postulates a Chinese attack on Taiwan by 2027. So they're definitely wargaming this scenario, China invading Taiwan. It's obviously a huge, big concern, and it does affect relations between countries. And then we had South Korea, which anticipates peace in the region. Yet, on the final article we're looking at, Taiwan has been tracking 9 Chinese military aircraft, 3 naval ships around the nation. And this is since the presidential elections. Ministry of National Defense tracked 9 Chinese military aircraft between 6 a.m. on Tuesday and 6 a.m. on Wednesday, the 17th. And this looks like the operational area that they were in. So it would seem that they didn't cross any Taiwan Strait, lines which would worry them a lot. It seems like they stayed within what's generally considered Chinese airspace over the Taiwan Strait. Nevertheless, like it says here, so far this month, and we're only into the 17th of January, Beijing has sent 138 Chinese military aircraft and 71 naval ships around Taiwan. Since September 2020, China has increased its use of grey zone tactics by incrementally increasing the number of military aircraft and naval ships operating around Taiwan. So, this is a slow creep. They started basically increasing the ships and the aircraft since 2020. One day you might get 10, the next day you might get, or the next time you see it, you might get 11, 12. Slowly building up the numbers around the Taiwan Strait. Alright, that's today's Prepper News broadcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be safe, be prepared, and I'll see you in the next broadcast. It's Geordie Prepper out.